Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. That man is Teddy. Covers and Teddy, man. We got a fun show going today. Dave Cokin joining us right off the top. He's going to talk Michigan State, Iowa. So are you. So is a lot of people. Arkansas and Florida for Dave. And Nevada and UNLV. John Ryan up after that. He's looking at Arkansas and Florida. He's also looking at Michigan State and Iowa. You think we would have organized the show a little better. What is your big game breakdown on?
We're talking about Michigan State and Iowa. You can tell that our communication program was shut down last night because we all picked the same games to talk about. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the world. We don't have, six-figure producers putting all this together for us. We do it ourselves. And when our communication outlet is shut down for any period of time, unfortunately, sometimes this will happen. So you'll get plenty of breakdown on Arkansas, Florida, and Michigan State, Iowa today. If you walk away from this show without valid information for those two games, that means we didn't do our job right.
I won my daily presidential address play yesterday, Teddy. What are we on now? 10 and 1 run. I want to ask the people in the chat room, and just let me know, because I'm really curious about this. I'm not that active on Twitter, so I don't really communicate a lot with people. I want to know from you guys, how many people regularly bet the plays in the daily presidential address? And also, how many people regularly bet the big game breakdown? I'm curious. Let us know. Teddy, it's $2 Tuesdays over at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Dave Cokin is the $2 Tuesday handicapper at Wager Talk. John Ryan at Sports Memo. And, before we bring Dave Cokin in, behind his back, I want to tell you, Teddy, the guy hit a 50-1 golf winner. I don't know the name of the guy who won. I can't remember. But I do know that it was 50 Benjamin Franklins to every one. Dave Cokin joining us. 50-1 winner in golf, Dave. Of course it was.
A price that's completely widely available. But judging by the responses from the gang who was with me, they all got better than that. So it was like 60-1. It was as high as 70-1. And it was wire to wire. Joaquin Neiman had a great opening round and never let up, really. At least not to the extent that he'd lost the tournament. So wire to wire, 72 holes, cash it. And the first big golf winner this year, had a bunch of them last year. And we'll see if we can put another one up this week with the Honda. I'll probably post what I like. And it's for all access. I don't sell the packages individually. They should be up later today or early Wednesday at the absolute latest. I know one that I'm definitely on, and I'll probably have 2 or 3 others. I never go deep. The most I'll ever have is 4, and usually it's 2 or 3. So that was good. And then last night, hey, listen, once in a while you just get lucky. And I had Ohio State. Obviously the wrong side. They're laying 6.5 or 7, and went to overtime. So I'm a loser. But they won by 11 in overtime. So rules say I have to count it as a win, and I did.
Well, way to go, Dave.
As you should.
Guys, I messed up. 5 minutes into the show, and I already screwed up. I forgot about the what did Teddy learn? He yelled at me in Slack. Dan yelled at me in Slack. I yelled at them. They yelled back.
Did you curse?
Now we've agreed to put it at the end of the Dave Cokin segment.
Okay.
Dave, let's get into your first game. Michigan State versus Iowa. Funny that. Let's hear your take on it. It's going to be interesting to hear everybody's thoughts on this game.
Yeah, clearly a game nobody's interested in because everybody's talking about it. So now, look, my number. This is a weird game because my number says Iowa's the right side. I'm at about 9, but I think I like Michigan State in the game. And what it comes down to is I'm not going to bet it. Okay, maybe the other guys have stronger opinions on it, and you can back theirs. I just don't trust Iowa. I've watched them game after game this year. I think there's talent on the team, but they're a little bit soft on the inside, and I think Michigan State might be able to exploit that. And I'm also looking at it and saying, well, why isn't this line higher? Because the power ratings, I think most power ratings are going to have Iowa more than 6 in this game. And yet it's sitting there, and Michigan State's drawing some action. Call it a hunch more than anything else, because I can't really give you good information that points to the Spartans. But I think Michigan State's going to give them a game. They're in a little bit of desperation mode. They're not playing very well right now and could use a good performance. And again, it's my mistrust of Iowa, and really kind of the Big Ten in general as big chalk. This has not been a conference that has been easy to lay points in, at least when the reasonably good teams are matching up. So I'll go lean Michigan State, but I have a feeling I'll be on the opposite side of some of the guys talking about it here on the show, and I won't argue against them.
So, Dave, I want to ask you, is there, I'm going to call it a point spread tax, but do Tom Izzo's teams get more attention in the betting marketplace than teams from other coaches, whether they're having a good year, whether they're having a bad year? It just seems like Izzo, every time Michigan State struggles, the mainstream commentary is, oh, Izzo will get them right. You know,
yeah.
Is that factored into the point spread?
I don't think it's factored into the spread, no. If it is, it's negligible, maybe a half point or something like that. But maybe in terms of feel by the odds makers, it's like, okay, well, we're going to get Michigan State money as a dog. Let's hold it at 6.5 rather than 7, and then let them bet Michigan State, which they're doing, by the way. So the market is taking Michigan State in the game. Whether they get it right or not, I don't know. I'm just guessing on the contest, which means I probably should have put up another game to talk about, but oh well.
Well, just to follow up on that, Dave, because when you were talking about the initial point spread, you said, well, everyone's power ratings is higher than this, but.
I think it is.
And then, yeah, exactly. So everyone's power ratings say this number should be higher, and yet the money's coming for Michigan State right now. Is that the Izzo factor? Is that the Michigan State's not going to slump down the stretch of the Big Ten season factor?
I think it's 3 things. The Izzo factor is 1. The fact that Big Ten chalk in this neighborhood has not been real trustworthy. And I think, I'll throw this in. I think a lot of people have the same opinion I do of Iowa, which is that they power rate as a top 20 team, but they're not. You just know they're not. If you watch them enough, it's like they can be had. And that might be one of those situations tonight. They should. I got to tell you, I'm not a big McCaffrey guy. I think he's been an overrated coach for a long time. I don't think they win games when the chips are down. He blows his cool on the sidelines too often. So I guess I'm anti-Iowa in big games. I know I've come to not trust them at all in big game situations, and I won't bet Iowa in an important game.
Dave Cokin. Dave, you are the $2 Tuesday handicapper at WagerTalk. Tell us what is going on for your clients. And I know you're running hot, man, but again, congratulations on that golf. Go ahead.
Actually, haven't been running hot, but you hit a 50-1 shot or better, and that gets you hot in a hurry. And then I stole the game last night, so that's a good. Generally, I can't quantify this, but when I steal a game, it's usually a good sign that there's going to be a little bit of a heater coming up. It's just the opposite. When you lose a game you're supposed to win, it's like, oh shit, here comes the roof falling in.
Yeah,
and that's kind of happened because I had a couple of losses last week on dogs in overtime, and it was a tough week for me in basketball. But last night I steal one. Might be a good sign. So I have a 5% play They're 22-10 over the past 2 years, 0-1 in 2022, and it was an ugly loss. But I do like this play a lot. I think situationally it's a really good spot. Unlike Iowa, I do trust this team in a big game, and so it's up there for $2. And there's also a free play on a game we're going to talk about.
Brilliant. Well, let's talk about Florida, Arkansas. It's now a pick 'em. There's a couple of -1s out there. One towards Florida and one towards Arkansas. 135 is the total. How do we handicap this game?
I'll look at this from a scheduling situation standpoint. Florida they're coming off a great win. Okay, that's a terrific win for them. They've had trouble putting good games together. They've been kind of an inconsistent team. And I can see them bouncing a little bit off the Saturday result. Arkansas, which had a mysterious struggle in January, they seem to have put things together. They look like they're coming together at the right time. Musselman's an excellent coach. So while I think this is, on paper, a very close game, I think Arkansas is going to win this game. I didn't put it on the card, but it was definitely considered as a selection. This is more on feel, like the other game, more on feel than numbers, but I like the way Arkansas is performing right now, and Florida's established their consistent inconsistency, if you will. So I think there's a good chance they have a bad game off a real good game. I'll take Arkansas.
So I'm certainly not going to talk anyone out of taking Arkansas right now, as hot as a firecracker. But here's my question. All right, the Razorbacks have now won and covered 8 in a row, 11 of their last 12. Have the betting markets finally caught up with this team now that we're seeing pick'ems on the road in Florida? Or is there still value on the Razorbacks despite their extensive success over the last month and a half?
No, it's not value. You don't always bet value. I mean, if you're on a hot streak, if you've been betting Arkansas, what do you care if there's value or not? You just click submit and keep betting them. I mean, when a team's hot like this, the value goes out the window. To me, all right. So it's priced. You might be getting 2 points the worst of it in terms of where it should be and where it is. But the team just won't lose. They're just on a tremendous run. It's kind of like what happened with the Canucks earlier when Bruce Boudreau took over as the head coach in Vancouver. They got to a point where it's like, well, the value is not there anymore. But the team kept winning. So it's like, okay, well, going to ride this till it ends. And that's what I would say about Arkansas. If you've been playing, maybe if you haven't been playing them, maybe now is not the right time to jump in because the party's already well underway. But if you've been at least sporadically playing Arkansas in this run, there's no reason to get off them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, probably the last, 16 years of Tom Brady's career, the value wasn't there. And yet, he kept on covering. Dave, Nevada -2.5 against UNLV. What do we do here?
Well, big rivalry, obviously. UNLV won the first game very easily.
Yep.
Nevada does seem to have straightened things out a little bit. Now, granted, 2 of the wins were against San Jose State, and the other one was against Utah State, but it's still 3 wins in a row for the Wolfpack, so they've got a little positive momentum. And make no mistake, this is until the conference tournament begins, and even maybe more than that, this is the game for the Wolfpack. This is an underrated rivalry nationally, both in basketball and football. And this is the game Nevada wants more than any. UNLV, they beat me on Saturday. Spectacular performance against Colorado State. And that was no contest. I think the final margin was 14, and it wasn't anywhere close to that because the UNLV was 25 points better. Brilliant coaching job by Kevin Kruger. He kept rotating fresh bodies on Roddy, Colorado State's best guy. And it worked. He didn't have much of a game, and when he doesn't have much of a game, Colorado State isn't much of a team. There's still a potential bounce here. That's a big win on sort of national TV at least. And now going on the road, the market has made the statement here. The game up and pick 'em, and they've bet Nevada. And I agree with that. I went with Nevada. I got it at pick 'em, so I got the good number. I'm not going to be shocked if the Rebels continue to get another win and continue to improve because I think Kruger's the coach of the year in the conference. But the spot says Nevada, and I will go with that.
Dave Cokin, everybody. Dave, outstanding stuff. Listen, before we let you go, we got a really great question from one of our listeners, Matt C23. I'd love your take on this, and Teddy, yours as well. Could you guys share how you decide if a play is rated a 2, 3, 4, or 5% play, Dave?
Just how strong I feel about it. I don't know how else to. Simple. I mean, obviously, if I have a game 3% and I have a game 5%, it means I feel pretty strongly about a 5% play.
Yeah,
there's no. I don't have a specific methodology that I'm going to use. All right, this grade absolutely grades as a 4% versus this one absolutely grades as a 5%. There's a lot of feel to it. There really is.
I will say
and when you're running good, you're more likely to step up, and when you're running bad, you're more likely not to step up.
That's what I would agree on completely. And I if I was still going like I was going last week, there's no way I would have made this a 5% play. But got a best bet winner last night that I stole. Got the Neiman score on Sunday, which was huge. Now's the time to press when you're hot and not when you're not.
Yeah, Dave Cokin joining us. Yeah, and for me, I mean, my answer to that question is, a lot of the same of what these two guys said, but also the bottom line is there are criteria here. So, I mean, for me, the percentage chance of that play cashing is really the driving force behind whether it is a 5, 4, 3, 2, etc. Dave, again, you're the $2 Tuesday handicapper over at WagerTalk. You got a 5% play up for everybody. Guys, Dave is 22-10 in these last 2 years of these 5% plays. Good luck, man. Kick ass. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy the day.
Teddy, we forgot at the beginning. I forgot at the beginning to ask you, what did you learn last night? My humble apologies. What did you learn last night?
It's just one of these deals where it's an interesting pickup in the NBA. I thought it was worth noting. Whether it's going to have an enormous impact or not, we don't know yet. But Goran Dragic, the Nets just got him basically for nothing, and he's a really interesting addition. It was, only 2 years ago in the bubble that Dragic was arguably the second best or third best player on a team that went to the finals. Okay, so we're not talking about a guy that doesn't have an impact. He was big in Miami for many years. And this year he's been a non-factor everywhere. He started the season in Toronto. He was sent to San Antonio. He's been like a cap casualty, et cetera, et cetera. But in an Eastern Conference where there's not that much separating Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, Chicago, Boston, Cleveland, even Toronto should be on that list. I thought the Nets made a sneaky good move in picking up Dragic, a guy who could have a big impact on a team that can use all the point guards they can get. What about you, Prez? What'd you learn last night?
Absolutely nothing. I played rummy with my eldest daughter, kicked her ass. I watched the Vancouver Canucks. My NHL pick won last night. I watched the Canucks game. And that's about it, man. I unlike you, Teddy, I don't learn things every night, which is my problem. I'm jealous that you are capable of opening your mind to learning every single night. Guys, if you haven't read the James Reese novels by Jack Carr, there's 4 of them. Start. The first one, Terminal List, coming out as a Amazon Prime series with Chris Pratt playing James Reese. Absolute masterpiece. Teddy, let's take a quick break. We're right back with your big game breakdown. John Ryan, Dave Sharapan, and of course, if we get 100 likes, the daily presidential address.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. And I'm telling you what, this Michigan State-Iowa game is attracting a lot of betting attention here on Wager Talk today. Let's break it down right here, right now. We have seen a little bit of Sparty money this morning. And as Dave Cokin talked about early in the show, a lot of people's power rate numbers have this slightly higher in favor of the Hawkeyes. So why do we see the Sparty money? Why is this number a little bit less than what people thought we might see? It's the Tom Izzo factor. Even when Izzo doesn't have great teams, and make no mistake about it, all right, this Sparty team is not great. All right, even when it doesn't have great teams, the betting markets expect something from Tom Izzo in the way they don't expect anything from Fran McCaffrey. Look, Michigan State is now 1-4 in their last 5 ball games. They're not playing good basketball. Offensively, this team is challenged. All right. Tom Izzo, in his post-game press conference after the Illinois loss, was talking about how his team needs to compete better. Their heads are going down when things go wrong. And that's not a good sign when you're traveling to face an Iowa Hawkeyes team that, yeah, Cokin said earlier in the show, the Hawkeyes certainly have a reputation for being soft. All right. But one thing Iowa's really good at doing is putting the biscuit in the basket. This team finds ways to score. And we're talking about this point spread range. All right. -6. All Iowa has to do is have a lead late in the game, and your foul and three-pointer situation will get them there because they're a really good free throw shooting team as well. Look, I understand that Iowa is one of these teams that has that reputation of, yeah, they're not as tough as Michigan State. I like this Iowa team. I think they're going to make us some money down the stretch, and I think they win by margin tonight. Give me the Hawkeyes -6 against the Spartans. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr.
Teddy
Brett.
covers. Teddy, let's talk about Sports Memo for a second. We got a great promo going on over there. As everyone knows, it's $2 Tuesdays at Wager Talk. Dave Cokin, the $2 Tuesday handicapper. We have $2 Tuesday guys over at Sports Memo, John Ryan being one of them. We'll talk about him in a second. But we also have a promotion every Tuesday at Sports Memo where we give 3 handicappers out for $5. Today we have Dion D'Amico, a 5% best bet. Joe D'Amico, a 5% game of the week. And John Ryan, a 4% best bet of the day. All 3 of those guys, only $5. Please head over to Sports Memo. Check it out. An unbelievable world-class team over at sportsmemo.com. John Ryan, my brother, listening to you, John, I don't know if I'd call it Beethoven or Iron Butterfly. Maybe Iron Butterfly. When was the last time you heard that reference, Teddy? Never.
I don't know.
John, welcome to the show, man.
Great band.
Let us know let's start right off the bat. You got a big play tonight. You're absolutely rolling right now. $2 Tuesday handicapper over at Wager Talk. Fill us in quick, and then we'll get into your games.
Well, Prez, I have to tell this to Teddy because I felt like you last night, actually. With my 5% play, I care about my customers. I care about my clients. I'm running a 7-0 run. I give out a 5%, the model is saying this is a major go. And it was West Virginia TCU who played like it was an NBA All-Star game in the first half. They had 85 points. The total's 134. I'm looking at the in-game. I want to bet it, take a picture, tweet it for my clients that I was getting 165. The geolocator screwed me. I couldn't make the bet. I didn't tweet. And lo and behold, West Virginia had scored 10 points in the second half with 7 minutes to go in the game after scoring 42. So I was frustrated, and I'll get over it.
John, in a da-da-da-dee-da, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. In a da-da-da-dee-da, baby. Why am I... Teddy, last night I played Rummy with my daughter, and I made her listen to my music. I know, you don't want to hear about it. Supertramp. When was the last time either of you guys listened to that? That band, that I feel like they are the forgotten band of that era. And I feel like they're a top 10 band. Like when you go down their catalog, I don't know how it gets much better than Supertramp. Any of you guys want to say something to that?
John, let's talk about some college basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe
You got
the
a
Rolling
couple games
Stones.
you want to
Maybe?
break down. Let's get into one of them.
Okay, I'm going to follow the heels here of Dave Cokin with Arkansas. They're taking on Florida, as we already know. Much like we talked about Iowa with Dave Cokin and yourself, Teddy. I can't trust Florida. Florida just seems to be a flawed team right now. I like how Arkansas's defense has come on in recent games, recent weeks. And I don't care if they've won 10 in a row against the spread or 8 in a row against the spread. But what it tells me is that they're playing very, very well. And it's based on their defensive improvement that is allowing them to cover the spread. So that 8 in a row or 7 in a row, whatever it is, actually helps me for the under in this game because it's been defensive led. And there's actually a betting system here I can share with you guys that bet under with road teams where the total is between 130, 139.5 points after beating the spread by 50 or more points over their last 7 games, which Arkansas has easily done. And they're facing an opponent like Florida that has gone under the total by 18 or more points in total over the last 3 games. That's hit 67% winners over the last 5 seasons on a 40-20 record. So I actually like the under quite a bit in this matchup.
So certainly when you look at the current form of both of these two teams, Arkansas, as you mentioned, they've cashed 3 straight unders, and 2 of those 3 by 23 points or more in class. In fact, 4 of their 5, 4 of the last 5 have gone under the total, with 3 of them staying under by 23 points or more for the Arkansas side of the equation. For the Florida side of the equation, it's been 6 straight unders, the last 2 both coming by double-digit margins. So is this just one of these situations where 2 teams are bringing it defensively and the markets haven't caught up to the current form yet? Is that what we're looking at here? Or is there a specific matchup that stands out to you that bodes well for unders, John?
Oh, I agree with both. I think it's the market has not caught up. And, per the Gold Sheet, which I look at every single day, and I think it's a great publication, in there I learned that the Gators are only scoring 62 points per game in February. And, that's just terrible. So their under results and their under streak has been largely because they can't score. And I say that, respectfully. They just are struggling to score. And I think they struggle to score even more against an Arkansas defense tonight. And Arkansas is prone to regression here on the offensive side. So you have 3 major factors in these matchups all working towards an under bet being the play.
John Ryan, everyone, give a little bit. Teddy, I got to tell you right off the bat, you were right, bloody well right. You took me to school while I was talking about a band instead of the show. I took the long way home. Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice. John Ryan, what's next?
Well, it's that Michigan State-Iowa game that we seem to love. And, we didn't have the luxury of technology to help us all pick 3 different games, but it does show that our minds are on the same type of game, at least. Michigan State is on the road against Iowa, and we talked about Coach McCaffrey not being trustworthy. I can't agree more, but hopefully I'm going to present something here that involves him, but it doesn't involve him as the coach. It's a situation. In the last game, Iowa went on the road and won as an underdog by double digits. Now, under McCaffrey, and that's the only thing that actually McCaffrey's responsible for here, but since he's been the coach of Iowa, coming off a double-digit road win as an underdog, he has gone 16-3 with 1 push against the number in the following game. So, you may remember last game they played, they hammered Ohio State on the road as a 5-point underdog. So that situation is in play. But McCaffrey's only responsible for being the coach of that team over that span of years. Am I making sense? It's his players that are actually producing the 16-3 record. in addition to that,
where are you going here, John?
Let's finish up. Well, I'm going with the under in this game as well, but I do like Iowa quite a bit. I think Iowa's going to win this by 10, or they're going to win it by double digits. I feel confident saying that. Points per game, they rank 4th in the nation at 83.5. And also, they are number 1 in assist to turnover ratio at 1.83, which is outstanding. Michigan State does not do well against teams that move the ball side to side and don't turn it over. Despite playing fast, Iowa only averages 9 turnovers per game on the season, which is ridiculously good given the pace that they play at. So, lastly, Michigan State does not match up because they rank 302nd in defensive assist to turnover ratio out of 358 Division I programs, going up against the best ball handling team in the nation. I see Iowa winning this game, and I also see this game going under, which is supported by Michigan State. 2 angles, 15-6 under is Michigan State in road games, facing solid shooting teams making 45% or more of their shots on the season in games played the last 3 seasons, and the same 15-6 when they're facing good free throw shooting teams, which Iowa is, and is making 72% or more of their free throw shots on the season.
John Ryan's taking the long way home, a guy who certainly had his breakfast in America this morning. There's your $2 Prez. John, $2 Tuesday handicapper. What do you have to promote today? What do you have going as your $2 Tuesday play?
Well, what I'd like to do is promote all the shows and the great guests that I have, where our numbers are going up through the roof, and we really have a lot of fun with them. We've modeled our shows a lot after yours. We try to, provide additional education like Super Tramp and Rock Stars and all that stuff, which makes the shows even more interesting, of course. So, big shout outs to, Joe D'Amico, who runs his own panel of shows. My guests who are Jesse Scholl, Dr. Chuck, Ronald Kabang. He and I are just awesome on that NBA show. To humbly said, the betting gods don't like bragging. But
John,
you're done, John. Out of time, baby.
John, you have Dave Sharapan on your show? No, but we do.
No.
And he's up now. We love you, John Ryan.
You got it, man.
Oh, my God.
Thanks.
Great work, John. Sorry to cut you off, man. It's my fault. Like, I spent time talking about Supertramp. Anyway, guys, check out John Ryan over at Sports Memo. Teddy, we should call this segment The Fool's Overture. Dave Sharapan joining us. Any Supertramp references for you?
Bloody well right.
That's one. I think that's their best song, Dave.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, you saved the last segment for me. I heard the Supertramp reference. Bloody well right. Come on. No drama. Don't want any drama.
The opening of Bloody Well Right, if you exclude Pink Floyd, might be the greatest opening in music history. That piano piece.
Oh.
Teddy, please take the segment over.
So the Expos hat. Talk about it.
Yes.
Why that?
Well, I don't have a Montreal Canadiens hat, but I knew I was coming on with Lawrence and Theodore. And yesterday, for people that maybe don't pay attention to hockey, but you should, the Toronto, I don't know how they say it up there correctly. Toronto Maple Leafs, that they were minus 420, and they lost the game to the Montreal Canadiens, who won 3 games in a row for the first time all season. They were minus 420, Teddy. I don't remember too many times that a road team was favored in the NHL, minus 420. So I just came on because
it happened at least. It happened a bunch of times this year. Colorado was a road team in the 500s, and they lost. So don't come on the show and piss on my Leafs.
He's wearing the shirt today. I didn't know. I don't want any drama. Yeah. That's very nice.
Dave.
The Leafs should win today. You want actionable info? I mean, Prez, if your Leafs do not win today, the game's going over. But they better win this game today. This place is going to go crazy if they don't.
The Jean-Francois Berube. Heard of him?
Ooh. No, I like that, though. Say that again.
I can't even remember. He's the starting goaltender for Columbus tonight, Dave.
Oh, boy. He's going to be
Jean-Francois Berube. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. Teddy, get some actionable info out of this guy while I just sit quietly and flex.
Sure. Is that the backup goalie for Columbus? Is that the story here? Or
no, that's not the backup goalie for Columbus. That's the backups goalie for Columbus.
Which speaks well for Toronto scoring goals and or winning by margin tonight. Let me ask you this, Dave. Anything else you're seeing on the NHL card for Tuesday that stands out to you in any way?
Florida's the best team in hockey in the Eastern Conference right now, along with Tampa. They're playing tonight. They're minus 220. Again, sometimes you get these numbers and you go, oh, I don't know. It's Florida puck line probably. The total 6.5. I'm surprised that one's not 7, like the Toronto-Columbus game. Minnesota, another really good hockey team's playing a really Ottawa's pretty much done. So, again, you're seeing some big favorites in those games. The late game, San Jose and Anaheim under. It's 5.5, trending over. Little money's pushing it over. The game goes under.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Dave. I like the under on that too. And, the Florida game, you want to bet them. I mean, you want to bet a minus 1.5 here tonight. I think you should be able to bet a minus 1.5 and the over. And I think worst case, you go 1-on-1. Both teams can score. I don't think Florida and Tampa Bay are the two best teams in the East, but I will guarantee you Florida is. This team is absolutely deadly. You got any NBA stuff for us? NBA, college basketball?
I was just going to say, Theodore.
I don't want to hear your response.
All right. Yeah. I won't say anything. No drama. Go ahead.
President, get the follows today. I'll ask you the follows today. So, Dave, let's shift our focus from the NHL and look at college basketball for Tuesday. Certainly, when we're talking about late February college hoops, this is kind of the quiet period, the dead period. We have the conference tournament starting in 2 weeks. We have the Big Dance starting in, 3 or 4 weeks? And this little period here is kind of, let me ask you this. Do you see as much action in college basketball now as you were seeing earlier in the season from the pros? And when it comes to the Joes, are they betting college hoops every day? Or are they really waiting for the tournaments to start?
We used to say in the book that this month we became a weekend business. We really could. I mean, while the NBA was dark, and now it's a whole week that they're out. This is a lot of people's vacation week. So a lot of the guys are gone and out of town, and they let the junior guys kind of run the ship. And the college basketball handle dips during the week, but then, there's a couple more big Saturdays left where you see a lot of action. So during the week, you're looking at a couple games that get most of the handle, and then games like, Rhode Island, St. Bonaventure, get a few bets, and that's it. So I mean, nothing against that game. There's probably a betting opportunity there as well. But you just don't see nearly as much action on, say, Ball State, Kent State today than you do Villanova, UConn. I mean, that's the game of the day. Michigan State, Iowa is not a bad game. Arkansas, Florida has a little bit of appeal. I heard John talking about it. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, another game, but it's a big number. Keeps people off of it. And then Alabama Vanderbilt tonight, Teddy, is one that, home dogs rule in February in college basketball. Vandy's not a good team. Alabama looks like they can beat anybody in the country one night, and then they have a bad shooting night, and they can lose by double digits. Them laying points on the road just doesn't feel right. I think you'll see, some bad guys come in on Vanderbilt. The total's already on the move, 153 for a college total, and it's actually coming down, which leads me to believe that the dog is going to be the side as well.
So you talked about a lot of guys taking their vacation at this time of the year. A lot of the odds makers, the sports book directors, your post-Super Bowl, your pre-madness. Does that affect the betting marketplace at all when there's a bunch of guys who normally are the ones who say, yeah, this is an opening number, this is the number, who are kind of gone this week or next week? Or are the numbers cemented into place when you talk about a global industry? The fact that a couple guys are taking vacations doesn't really matter that much.
I think you'll see occasionally. I used to say it has. There might be guys moving numbers that don't normally. You know, a hockey guy may be moving college basketball numbers or NBA numbers. So you might see moves different. You might see shading a little bit different. I don't know if or you might see no movement at all. It all depends on the book itself. So it's an interesting week, and I think really where we used to say is be careful with the futures. I think you see a lot of things happening, like a lot of guys taking positions in futures, knowing they can get prices that maybe normally wouldn't be able to get, or they might take a little bit extra on prices because they're going to over move them. So I think the futures market is where this comes into play before conference tournaments, start. That's when everybody's back in the chair. That's when all the business really starts again. Is the week before conference tourney week, and then conference tourney week going forward.
So I don't learn as much as I want to on this show, but that's a really interesting point right there, Dave Sharapan. When you talk about the future book marketplace, maybe not moving quite right when everyone's on vacation the last couple of weeks of February. It's certainly something, when you said it, I'm like, man, that makes a ton of sense. That's the vulnerability right there. Thank you, Dave, for giving me some actionable information when it comes to betting the futures. Last but not least, before we let you go, and of course, Dave does what? How many shows you do every day right now, Dave? It feels like 5 shows a day you're doing. You can follow him on Twitter at SportsBKConsig. The man is a media superstar right now. But before we let you go, I do want to ask you about the baseball season. You're wearing an Expos hat. We've had a lot of talk about MLB. Will there be a season in 2022? Give me a number. Yes, no.
Yes, there definitely will be a season. I mean, everything that we're trying to get, I was supposed to go to spring training in Arizona. That is going to be postponed. That 100% is going to be delayed. They may actually negotiate this thing out where there's like a 2-week throw it together spring training if they try to keep the hard date to start the season. Now, the last conversation I had last week with some people there was it sounds like it's going to be delayed. Now, how delayed, I don't know. If we can get to mid-April and get this thing solved and start and miss 10 games, okay. They may not start till May 1st. I think those somebody's going to come to their senses and they're going to have a baseball season. If they don't, I was thinking about it in the book. What's going to replace that handle? Hockey handle's going to shoot up. NBA handle's going to shoot up. And golf handle. The Masters may set a record for handle in April if there's no baseball, because that bump in baseball is always big in April, and then it kind of drifts off as people kind of go on summer vacations, and there's just too many games. But there will be baseball, Teddy. I just don't know exactly when yet.
I'm taking the under on whatever number of games you give me, Dave. That's all I'm going to say. You give me 150, I'll take under. You give me 140, I'll take under. So the best number to give me is 1.
Okay, 1. 1. Dave Sharapan, everyone. Dave, awesome job, man. We're richer to have you on the show. Thanks, buddy. Teddy, before we get into the daily presidential address, and today we're not up against the clock, I want to answer a question that is really, really good question, and it needs to be answered. And that is, and Miguel Diaz, one of our real loyal listeners, writes, why are there, not is there, DL, it's not why is there, it's why are there, but that's a grammar thing. Why are there so many YouTube videos saying that WagerTalk is a bunch of scammers? I'm going to address this. I want to just start by saying that the clientele, the majority of the clients that we sell to, and not only the majority of the clients we sell to, but the majority of the people in this industry are emotionally driven people. We are sports bettors. I am financially stable and yet posted a video on Twitter of me jumping up and down like a lunatic when I won my 5% play. I cry when I lose my 5% play. The whole industry is based around emotion. We are gamblers. We live high and we live low. Ultimately, what happens is you will have somebody come to the website. They will see that Teddy is on an 11-0 run, going for 12 wins in a row. They will buy his play as a first-time buyer because Teddy is super hot, and Teddy will lose that play. And that person will, you might lose that play.
You just said, I'm going to lose that play. Yeah, I will lose.
Jesus Christ, man. I'm trying to make a freaking point about a business. Okay, forget that. Wow. How do you interrupt me there? Okay, Dave Cokin wins 45 games in a row, and somebody buys the play, and he loses the 46th game. The person gets so upset. We've seen it and we've heard it. When I used to own a company called Who to Bet On way back when, I used to get death emails. I had a guy, Joe Martinez, out of New York, email me that he hoped my children burned alive in bed because I had lost a play. So that's the issue, is we aren't scamming anyone. All our records are up. You guys all know us. We provide a ton of free picks and free content. We do everything legit. We never call anybody. We never email anybody. We never beg you guys to buy. We don't take a percentage of your wins. None of that stuff. The reason there are so many scammers is twofold. One, people lose in this industry and they flip out. Number two, competitors also bet and also live on the highs and the lows of this industry. And we are the pinnacle of this industry, and they're not. And they get involved in that. That's the reason why. And I'm so glad Teddy interrupted that, something I wanted to tape and put on Twitter, because he might lose his 12th freaking game. Anyway, do you want to add anything now? Anything of substance?
Absolutely, Prez. This is what I'm going to say. Boy, it's really annoying when you're given something and somebody else starts talking in there, isn't it? Maybe you remember that next time when I'm doing a rant.
Yeah, right, Teddy. That's your response.
But the bottom, are you really getting mad at me right now because I said something? Are you really all like, oh, Prez, I never do that. My shit doesn't stink. Your shit stinks as much as anybody. You do that more. 20
oh, dude, my shit stinks worse. Just go on.
But when it comes to the question, okay, the bottom line is when you're successful, as WagerTalk and Sports Memo have been, there are going to be plenty of people that are going to fire slings and arrows at you. That's the nature of the business that you're in. Obviously, every record that we have is documented. We're not doing anything when it comes to nonsense, all right? But, they're a scam? No, it's not a scam. You pay for a play, you get a play. Sometimes it wins. It doesn't always win. That's what we do. And to see the criticism, it's, in my mind, probably more competitors who are going in the wrong direction than any other fact.
Yeah. Yeah, competitors, but also listeners, Teddy. I mean, people, the biggest issue is not everybody, but the majority of people in this industry buy when a handicapper is at its height. When a handicapper is on a 17-2 run, that seems to be when people buy their plays. Well, 17-2 does not equal 34-4. There are, what's the, the word? It comes
regression to the mean.
Regression to the means. So they'll buy you at on a 17-2 run, and you'll lose your next 3 games. Not you, Teddy. Not you. You win everything, but you'll lose your next 3 games. And you're now on a 17-5 run, and they are irate. But with that said, I guarantee you 95% of them come from a particular area in America that we We'll just leave it there. It's time for the daily presidential address, everyone. What a show! Whoa, whoa! Check it out, guys. Wager Talk today. We had Dave Sharapan on, Dave Cokin on. I should have gotten another Dave, but we had John Ryan on. Look, all three guys and Teddy, four people, all with parents who did not think creatively when naming their children. Two Daves and a John. Anyway, I won my pick in this spot yesterday. Again, we are now on a 10-1 run in these videos. I have two picks for you guys. I also want to mention I have two NHL plays up for my clients and one college basketball. I'm on a 3-1 run in NHL. Not great, but we're getting there. Hey, it's better to buy someone on a 3-1 run than to buy someone on a 30-1 run. That I can assure you. And also college basketball 23-13 run. My picks for today, guys, the New York Islanders and Seattle under the total. This is not an official pick, but I do lean on Seattle tonight. But the official pick is the under in the New York Islanders Seattle game. And also, and Dave Sharapan mentioned this as well, the under in the Anaheim game. Anaheim playing San Jose, both games 5.5, take under in both. That's it for the show. Teddy, bro, I have a business lunch. Some guy wants to meet me to show me an investment strategy to get his hands on my money. The over and under on that working is 0. Teddy, take us home.
Sure. But he'll buy you lunch, and that's enough for you to go to the meeting. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition of Wager Talk today. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
Would you like to bet $20 and win $100 at BetMGM regardless of your wager's outcome and get $100 in free wager bucks? Just go to wt.buzz/MGM for more details and find out if you're eligible for this amazing offer.